What's up, guys? It's Jim with Awakened TCG, bringing you guys another weekly locals video this week. We are going to be doing the decklist portion a bit different this week. As you can see, we are in the One Piece TCG simulator right now. I usually do it physically on my mat with my physical cards, but I have actually already broken down the blue-yellow ace deck because I am not playing it in EB, and I needed a few of these cards in this deck for other decks. So we are basically OP07 waiting room on this guy for now. So it exists in the simulator and in the simulator alone at this moment in time. But let's go ahead and get into this deck list that we played this week. So for those of you that don't know what Blue Yellow Ace does, I'm sure most of you do, but he's one of the three brothers. Some say he's arguably the worst of them, but he's pretty much going to be a Dawn X2 activate main once per turn. You can look at the top five, grab a 5-cost character card, put it face up in life, and then place the remaining cards you saw at the top and the bottom of your deck in any order. And then at the end of the turn, any face up life cards you have are going to go to the trash. So basically the whole idea with this leader is you're getting free life, and you are either using effects that would take life to warrant a strong effect, or you are making use of those lives with things like these three brothers that can buff your leader and bring out a 5-cost. So that is basically the general game plan. My list is a bit weird. I know a few other people play this list a bit differently, but this is how I play it. So I'd say let's just start with the brothers. So these brothers, I run all 8 searchers because they're basically the whole reason to play this deck. So 4 of Garp, search any Luffy, Ace, or Sabo. 1-cost searcher, not really, not much to talk about here. And then I also run the 3 Brothers Bond event. Basically Garp without a body. Also going to activate its ability on trigger, which is actually really good in some scenarios because you can sometimes put it in life or know it's in life and trigger it when you want to. Next up, let's just take a look at the brothers. So all these are the same. We have 2-cost Sabo, which is, if you don't know what these do, basically you're going to trash the card and then you're going to take your top life. If that life is a corresponding brother, you're going to bring out the brother, which is this one. This is the only Sabo we run on this deck. Unfortunately, blue is the only color out of the 3 that did not already have a 5-cost version of one of the brothers to utilize, so we have to use all the ones from the starter deck. This Sabo, though, is not bad because it is removal, and a lot of the time, if we get a top 5 and we get something that we can't do with, we can actually just play this guy out of hand, and we can basically get rid of that top life for free and KO a 5-cost. So pretty solid card in this deck, and it allows me to go for game in a lot of scenarios. Next up here, probably the best brother is going to be Ace. He's going to be the 2-cost, same thing as the Sabo, trash him and take this 5-cost Ace from life. This one's just if you have 2 or less life, he gets rush. So very simple effect. Also the only 7k body in this deck, which actually matters a lot. 7k obviously being the magic number. We do not have to attach any Dawn to this guy to actually attack for a really good number. Also helps against decks like RP Law, which have a little bit trouble removing anything above 6k. So really good body there. I even like bringing this guy out early if I don't have anything else, just for the big body, right? He doesn't get rush, but we buffed our leader and we played a 7k for 2 Dawn, right? So that's a great play in my book. And then last but not least, we have the Monkey D. Luffy. Same thing on the 2-cost here, bringing out this 5-cost. This one is probably our second best in the deck, I'd say, because if we have him on board and we get a 5-cost in life, say Satori, that we can't really do anything with, Luffy can actually utilize that by trashing it, drawing 1 for free. So basically just getting us a free draw 1, and then he gets plus 2k power on top of that until the end of your opponent's next turn. So he'll even be an AK on your opponent's turn. Very hard to attack back into. Really like this guy. However, he is a body that I find gets removed a lot of the time before I can actually utilize him. So only bad side I'd say there. Next up, let's go into our 2Ks. So first up here, we have Satori. This one's kind of a no-brainer. It's basically just a 2K that's also a 5-cost, which means we can find it with our leader effect and put it in our life. So that's pretty much the only reason we run this. We'll trigger it sometimes, maybe if we need a body to go for game, but that's really about it. Next up here, we've got Kozuki Hiyori. Great card here, probably our best 2K in the deck. If we put a 5-cost in that we cannot utilize, we can just play Hiyori for another 2 Dawn. take that card and swap it for any card, whether it's a trigger or not. It just turned Hiyori into a literal heal for free. Really strong, but if I do have any of these cards with trigger in hand, I'm probably going to put them into that life. Or I'll put a brother that I have in hand that I did not see. Say I only have a 2-cost Luffy in hand, and I have another 5-cost in hand, and we got like a Sabo in life, but we didn't have the 2-cost in hand. I can just play Hiyori, put the Luffy in there, and then play out this 2-cost and play out the Luffy. So a lot of different plays you can do with Hiyori. She definitely enables this deck, and a very, very necessary 4 of. Next up here, we've got Makino. Makino is our last 2K, and pretty much just another option to do when we get a life that we can't utilize. This one's really good going first, because on 3 Dawn, you can't really use Leader Effect. In EB now, this tournament, guys, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it was not an EB. So this was the only really one you can utilize. So basically on 3 Dawn, you do Leader Effect if you have Makino in hand. Put one to the top life, you can draw it, and then you could also know what all your life are. So it converts Leader Effect into a draw, and then literally look at all your life. So really good early, but I think Flampe is going to be better in EB. So if you're looking at this list and you're playing in EB, this should be Flampe. Next up here, we've got our remaining 5 costs. This is our only other 5 costs in the deck, so that makes for a total of 18 hits, which pretty much makes it so we never whiff. Basically a 2 out of 5 of 2 fits of our deck is going to be a 5 cost, and this X-Drake's really good to play out after we already did everything we can do. And then you play this guy out, you can look at the top 5, and then if we see a 2-cost brother on top, we always put that on the top, so we draw it next turn. And then we also know from the remaining 4 cards that we saw what brother we're going to see off Leader Effect, so we can completely prepare for next turn and know exactly what we're going to do. And then last but not least, we have a tech card here. It's going to be Pudding. Honestly, I could see this being a lot more. Because with this deck, you do swing big, and your opponent's going to take these early swings. It's usually going to be like 7K, 9Ks, and they're going to take them and get a lot of cards in hand. So Pudding, for that reason, gets a lot of value in this deck. But this deck is just so tight with the Searchers and the Brothers and everything like that. I don't know. In this list, I could only find a spot for one. So could run more in different lists. In this list, I do not run more. Next up here, we have Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. This card is just way too good of a removal option not to run, in my opinion. Also great to play into life off Hiyori. We can bottom deck any 5 costs. Any can't be KO'd stuff, we really don't care. They just play the Sabo. Okay, Gravity Blade, boom. Really good card there. And then last but not least, we have Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is really good because if we put something in life, again, that we cannot utilize, Thunderbolt is going to be just a 2 Dawn kill a 5. Really strong and really good in certain scenarios as well. And that is basically the reason we run it, just removal. And at the end of the day, that is going to be the deck list, guys. Had a lot of fun this week and did actually pretty good. I have not been loving this leader. I've kind of been a little bit burnt out lately, just waiting for EB. Thankfully, EB's out now, so we'll be dropping those spicy lists later. But as far as Ace goes for me, he's kind of OP07 in waiting room. But this list was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of good games this week, so let's go ahead and go over those. And getting into our first game here, we're actually going to be going against a Nami. Really great Nami player here. As you can see by his mat and his leader and his sleeves, he plays a lot of Nami. And is probably the most lucky Nami player ever, but only against me. I think every time I played against him, at the absolute least, he's gotten 2 draw 3 triggers. Or sorry, not 2. 3 draw 2 triggers. 3 draw 2 triggers. Which basically, if you guys know Nami, if you get like 4 or more draw 2 triggers, the game is basically sealed. You lost that game and there's nothing you can do about it. So we're going to see how this goes. He ends up going first, which is good. We actually won dice roll. He's going to play a Kaya, trashing the Impo down All-Stars. And the Spada, pretty good start for him. On 1, we're going to play the 3 Brothers event. Switching top 5, looks like we do end up finding the 2-cost Portgas, the Ace there, which is really good, into another 3 Brothers bond. So great start for us. Looking at the hand compared to our top 5 here, we're going to grab the 5-cost Monkey D. Luffy, which is another fantastic card in this matchup because you are not scared to take life for free because Nami never attacks life, so now we can actually utilize it, which is really, really good with this deck. So he's just going to play that Mr. 1 and grab that Spada back to hand. We will put 2 on leader, looking at the top 5. Looks like we see a 5-cost Sabo there. And then I think we do have the 2-cost in hand, which we will do, playing on the board and KOing Kaya and critting our life. So basically, we did that because we do not want him to bounce Kaya back to hand and be able to repeat the effect. That's pretty much the idea. So doing that and not really caring and utilizing our life. So we're actually going to go 9k. He's going to do the Spada just to see what he has. And he's going to take and actually trigger out another Spada, drawing 2 and trashing 1. So there's his first draw 2 trigger. As I said, he usually, at the very, very, very least, gets 3. Next up here, he's going to play a Zeph, sending a Mr. 1 back to hand and a milling 2. Now, when he did that, he has no Dawn up. So pretty much if I swing big this turn, I'm guaranteed 2 hits to his life, which we always like to see. So we're going to go ahead and look at the top 5. Looks like we do have a Sabo there, I think, but we didn't have a Sabo 2-cost in hand or any way to utilize it, so we're actually going to choose not to put it there, and he's going to take the 7k. He gets a draw 2 Pilaf, and he's going to take the 10k, and he gets a draw 2 All-Stars. So already we are at 3 out of 3 draw 2 triggers. I was not joking when I said this dude always gets draw 2 triggers on me. He is the king of getting them. And that is pretty much the way you win Nami games. Nami is a bit of a, you got to get a little bit lucky deck. So he's going to play the Pilaf, draw 2 here. And with the Zeph on board, I'm pretty sure if he attached all those with Zeph, he's actually going to take my life because I don't have that much counter in hand. But obviously, if you do that, you put yourself in a bit of a sticky situation because now I'm swinging twice again and putting you down to 0, which you never really want to be at. Sure, Nami has a lot of counter, but putting yourself at 0 is not a good look. Especially when I run Pudding and I could kind of just put your all your cards back in your deck. So he'll go 6 at Sabo. I'll give him a 1k Luffy, and he'll go another 6 at Sabo, and I'll give him another 1k. So just protecting our board as much as we can here. We're going to go 6 at the Zeph. He will give us a 1k counter. He has 3 Dawn up, so if we swing big at it, he's most likely going to be able to save it. We're going to put 1 on lead and swing 6 at it again. He'll give us a 1 Dawn Rubber Band, trashing 1 from the top, and then we'll go 7 Dawn, just bottom decking it. That was a very inefficient play, but I know I have like no counter in hand, and that Zeph is going to hit me for free if he swung like for 7. So we don't want to see that. So I need to get rid of that guy at all costs. And now he's playing a 7-cost Croc from OP01. If you guys don't know what that card does, it's going to be when you attach 1 Dawn, all of your blue events cost 1 less. So that is really good in this matchup because I cannot remove it. So now he has 1 Dawn up. So any 2-cost event he wants to play is going to be 1 Dawn. But we're going to do leader effect, put a Luffy to life, and take the 2-cost Luffy, bringing out the 5-cost Luffy. And bring our leader up to a 9k. We will swing 10k with lead. He basically has infinite Dawn up at this point. Every 1-cost event he has costs 0. And with that many cards in hand, there's really not any scenario where he's not getting out of this. So he's going to go Spada up to 7. Look at the top 3. And then he will go Gavel, trashing a, I think that was Brick Fist from hand, and then trashing the 2 cards he knew he would trash. And then we'll just play a Luffy preparing big swings for next turn. Because with 1 Dawn still up, there's no way that Sabo was hitting. So he'll go Pilaf, draw another 2. And then he's actually going to spend 1 for the Daw's Bones, grabbing back that Gavel. That is the main target you're going to usually grab back with Daw's Bones. And then he'll spend another 1 for another Daw's Bones, grabbing a Desert Spada there. And now going to pass to me. Looks like we are finally on 10 Dawn here. We're going to use leader effect looking at the top 5. Looking at our hand here, we're going to put the Sabo to the top. Using Luffy effect to trash it and draw 1, bringing it up to an 8k. So he has a lot of Dawn up and a Dawn under Croc, which means we're really not getting a... It's going to be really hard to get a life here. So we're going to swing 9 at lead. He'll give us a White Snake, which makes him plus 1k for the turn. and then a Gavel bring himself up to 10. So now Nami is at 6k, so I'm going to swing 6 to 6. Small swings like this are really good because usually they have to over counter, so he's going to use another White Snake, bring himself to 7 for the turn, and drawing 1 again. So we use the other Luffy effect, trashing that top life, and drawing 1. We'll go, I think that is 9k to lead. He'll give us an overheat, bouncing himself to 11 and bouncing Mr. 1 back to hand. Now at this point, if we don't have anything to play, it might just be all on ace, but we'll go 7 to 7. He'll give us a Spada again. Looking at the top 3 and knowing what he's going to draw next turn, it looks like he actually put those to the bottom. And now for 5, we'll play another rush ace and swing 8. So just trying to get bodies on board for next turn, because that is really the way to win this matchup. Just lots of large swings, or just lots of swings in general to get cards out of hand. So he's actually going to play another Croc and put a Dawn under it, which makes every event in his deck, because he does not run anything above 2, makes every event cost 0. So he's going to play Kaya because he knows he does not need any Dawn up to use his events. And he's going to trash a Gavel and a Mr. 1. Interesting there to trash the Gavel. It's probably because he is going to run too low on cards in hand. So now counting his deck, I think that's about 13 or so cards. We are definitely in a scary spot right now. He does have 1 life, but we need to start going for games. So we're going to use leader effect, activate Luffy effect to bring him to an 8, and we will swing at 9 at leader. He'll do another White Snake, bring himself to 6, drawing 1, and most likely follow this up with a Gavel if I had to guess. No, actually does an overheat, bouncing Kaya to hand. Now we'll go 6 to 6. He'll give us a 2k Kaya that he just bounced, probably not wanting to over counter. Now at this point we use the other Luffy effect to bring him up to 8. We have a lot of cards in hand right now. So we'll go 8k over 6k. He'll give us a Gavel there, trashing 1 and trashing 2 from the top. And now with ace and leader, we'll most likely be able to get at least 1 hit in here. So we'll go 8 at lead. He'll give a free love, drawing 1, and rest on leader. I think that is around 1, 2, 3, 13 or so. He'll give us a love, bouncing himself up to 10, and another love to 13. I think I swung 12, so that is rough because he draws 2 and completely counters out of that. Leaving the 2 Dawn on Croc here, he can use all of this Dawn to do whatever he wants, because obviously I have no way to get rid of them. So every event he has is free. But he's actually going to choose to drop another one, which I think was a misplay, because he told me after the game he doesn't run any 3-cost events, so there's really no reason to do that. You might as well keep the counter in hand. So we'll go 6 at lead, expecting another White Snake, which he does give us, which means it's 6 at 6. He needs to give us more counter now. He'll give us a 2k Kaya. We'll go 2 on to the ace right now, putting the ace to the top, which is the target we wanted to see, dropping the 2-cost ace, which is going to bring out that and give our leader rush. Or sorry, give himself rush, and then give our leader plus 2k power. We use Luffy effect, taking our last life, bring himself to 8k. He will choose to take that, getting a draw 2 off Spada. I think he has 2 left in his deck right now. So we'll go 7k at 6k. He'll go overheat, bouncing Mr. 1 to hand. We'll go another 7k at 6k. He needs to give us 2k worth of counter, which he does with the Rubber Band of Doom. We'll use Luffy effect, swinging 8k at 6k. We'll do an overheat, bouncing nothing. And rest on lead, he cannot beat it with 1 card in hand. We miraculously won. And Black Rebecca, not a matchup you see very often. So he's going to be going first, activating leader effect on 1 and grabbing the Coliseum. That's probably the best thing you can see early. So we're going to drop the 3 Brothers event on 1, grab the 2-cost Sabo, and we will just go ahead and pass to him. Now back on 3 Dawn. Probably going to choose to play Stage this turn and possibly Search. He's going to do, actually, 1 Dawn for the Karita Coliseum and then another Dawn for Leader Effect. With 6 cards in hand, looks like he's going to go ahead and grab the Mancherry from the top 2, trashing the Kyros. And for another 1 Dawn, I'm going to play the Rebecca, searching the top 3. Rebecca cannot grab herself. Oh, he actually does grab the Rebecca. Oh. I don't think you can do that. I did not catch it in the moment, but I'm almost positive the 1-cost Rebecca cannot grab 4-cost Rebecca. I could be wrong, though. So with all those cards in hand, anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and drop a pudding. Make him redraw 5. I think he had 7. If I had, yeah, he had 7, so that is going to be basically a trash 2. Putting is really good in these scenarios, especially when they searched out cards that they wanted in their hand. So after that, we'll go ahead and go 5. He'll choose to take, and we will just go ahead and pass back to him. Now on 5 Dawn. He could definitely probably conjure a play to remove this pudding, but it's not really that big of a threat, so I don't know if you actually need to. Thinking about the play here, looks like he's going to go ahead and drop the Rebecca for 4. And with the last... Oh, actually going to play the Mancherry off of the Rebecca just so we have to swing into it. Not wanting it to get off its effect for sure. And then he'll choose leader effect and grab a Suleiman. And then now on 6 Dawn for us, we'll go ahead and go 4 at the Mancherry. And with our remaining 6 Dawn, we'll go 2 on lead, activating leader effect. And it looks like we do get a hit here. We get the Satori, which is not one of the brothers, but we can still do something with it. We're going to drop the Hiyori, turning that Satori into a pretty much draw 1. So I'm actually going to choose to put the 7-cost event to the top right now. So if I ever get hit, he's actually going to have one of his cards be bottom decked. And now swinging 8, he's going to give us the Rebecca blocker before I can do something about it. And then we'll drop the Garp linking at the top 5 and most likely grabbing that 2-cost Luffy, which we do end up grabbing, and passing back to him now on 7 Dawn. So he can drop 7-cost Luffy this turn, although there's not really a great... It's not a great spot for it. He's going to choose to drop Orlumbus instead, KOing his Rebecca and bringing Pudding down by 4 and dropping the Kyros for his other 3 Dawn. So pretty solid play there. And now on 8 Dawn for myself. Most likely going to get off a good leader effect this turn. We'll put 2 on lead. Looking at the top 5, we do see the Luffy, and as we know, we just grabbed the 2-drop Luffy, so we are probably going to put that on the top. There he is. And then from there, actually going to play out the 2-cost. At this point, honestly, I'm kind of regretting putting that 7-cost event in my life, because this turn right now would be a great spot to use it. Just completely remove his board and then swing at leader. But we're going to go ahead and activate the effect. I actually choose to put the 2-cost on leader just to signify that he is buffed until the end of opponent's next turn. So we're going to go ahead and go swing 9 and then swing 6 with Garp. And pass back to him on a 9 Dawn. So 9 Dawn now. You have a lot of plays this turn. This is probably a pretty good turn to play the Luffy. You can swing at our 6K and get a lot of cards out of hand by attaching 2, which looks like he's going to do. So for 7, he will choose to play that. And he has a lot of cards in trash if he wants to start pressuring, so he'll go 8. I know he's probably going to swing again, but I just want to force him to use its effect just so I don't have to deal with it for another turn. So we'll go ahead and give him a 2 and a 1. Actually give him a 2-cost ace because I think I somehow had like 3 of those in hand. So he's going to choose to activate effect here, putting cards to the bottom of the deck. Looks like he's going to choose to put a Moria, which he probably wants to redraw if I had to assume. I don't really know how Moria works in this deck, but I assume it's like pretty good. You can bring out 4-cost Rebecca into like a Kyros. That sounds like pretty strong. But he'll go 8 again at Luffy, and not worth protecting at this point. I don't have a lot of cards in hand. So he'll go 5 at lead. I remind him we are 7K right now, so he chooses to swing at Garp instead. And then he's going to actually activate leader effect, grabbing another Kyros and passing back to us. So now on 8 Dawn, it's going to be really tough for us to keep a board at this point, and I really am just like, oh, I should not have put that card to the top of my life because I honestly really want to use it right now. So we're just going to go ahead and drop the X-Strike, putting the cards here so we know what is going to be grabbed off of leader effect. There it is, the Sabo into our hands right now. And we're going to go ahead and play the 1-cost Garp, probably searching for the 2-cost Sabo. I'm not really sure if I have it in hand. We're going to play the 2-cost Luffy into the 2-cost Sabo, which we already had. Playing it onto board. We will choose to not activate effect. We could get rid of Orlumbus right now, but I do have that 7-cost event on top still. Again, regretting putting it there that I really want to reuse once I get it into hand. And at this point, we're 7k again. Luffy does not restand, so we don't really need to deal with it this turn. And at this point, with 10 Dawn, he could play something like a Moria if he had it in hand, but he's going to choose to play the 1-cost Rebecca. Looking at top 3, and going to grab the 2k Toy Soldier. And at this point, he's going to use the Orlumbus effect to get rid of that Rebecca, bringing X-Drake down by 4, and then dropping 3 Dawn for a Kyros, KOing it since it is now at 1. And with 6 Dawn remaining, looks like he's going to drop 5 of that Dawn for a Sabo onto board, protecting from any KO effects. We actually do have KO effects with Thunderbolt and a Sabo in this deck, so that's actually not that bad of a play. The top 5 there, or sorry, not the top 5. He's going to draw 2 and trash 2 here. And still with a lot of cards in hand, so we're really looking bad. Honestly, his board is very menacing. And mine, not so much. Sure, he hasn't swung at me. I do have 5 life on a 4 life leader. But I haven't really been able to keep a board here. So we're going to do the Makino, grabbing that 7-cost event from hand and looking at our whole life. So now we know if we have any of these brothers in life, we know when and where we can activate them. That is the power of Makino, because if, say I put an ace at the bottom, I can know that I have it there and go for game. Stuff like that's really strong, so we're going to actually not keep the 2 Dawn on leader this turn. I kept it there thinking that I was going to use it, but I think we're not going to actually choose to right now. So with the 7-cost event in hand, probably going to bottom deck a Sabo and an Orlumbus, if I had to guess. And there it is right there, bottom decking the Orlumbus and the Sabo. Really great card against that card. You know, Sabo makes everything not be able to be KO'd, and you can kind of just be like, oh, well, how about this? So we'll go 6k lead. We give us a 2k counter Toy Soldier, and then we will spend 2 on a Luffy. We actually know the Luffy's on top from the Makino effect, so we'll just activate that and swing 7 to leader. And at this point, Luffy finally restands himself, so he can actually swing into our board twice once again, which we kind of hate to see. Really, really hard to get rid of when you don't have any removal. At least anything that's above 6 in this deck. I used to run Red Rock, but I just found it was a bit too clunky in a lot of matchups. Obviously, it would have been good here, but there are only certain matchups where it is, and it's really just not worth it. The Gravity Blade is just a lot stronger, so he's going to go ahead and drop the Rebecca, grabbing the Kyros, and also playing it out, popping the Garp. And now with 6 Dawn remaining, he'll probably just choose to allocate Dawn to his characters to swing a board. He puts 1 on Kyros, going to swing 6 at Sabo. With 2 cards in hand, there's really no protecting anything right now. He'll swing another 7 at lead. We'll choose to take that one. We actually trigger the Gravity Blade, bottom decking Rebecca, which we knew was there. But at this point, it's really not a great spot still. We kind of need to rush ace if we're going to go for game. So he's going to actually still play a Bartolomeo. We'll give him a 2k as he swings into Luffy. And he will activate effect. If we had another 2k, we might have been able to go for game right now. But that, I mean, that would be assuming we draw an ace as well. So really hard here. He goes 7. We only have a 1k, so we actually can't save it. Now on 10 Dawn, I think ace here is really the only thing that gives us a chance of winning. So we'll look at the top 5. And it looks like we got another Luffy. I'm not sure if we have one in hand. I don't think we do. So we're going to actually just get rid of that and KO the blocker here. And then we'll put the rest on lead, swinging 10 into Luffy or leader. I'm not sure. I think we're swinging into leader. And he'll give us actually double 2K and, yeah, triple 2K. So bringing himself up to 11, beating our 10K swing. And at this point in time, with 1 card in hand and that menacing board that I really just can't deal with, we're kind of out of this game. Sure, he can't swing with Luffy again because he did his effect last turn. He could restand it and swing once, but it's probably just better to start attaching Dawn. So he'll go 6, just kind of 2K check. We do not have a 2K, so we have to take. At this point, he can probably just swing 8 and be pretty safe to go for game with the last swing, going 8-10. So that is exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go 8. We are forced to take once again. And now on Kyros, he's going to go 9, play a little bit safer, and we actually don't have the counter, and that is going to be the game. So, you know, Rebecca, not a deck you see a lot, but that was actually a pretty efficient game for him. And getting into our final game here, we're going to be going against the Yamato. Very scary deck. However, in this matchup, I found not to be too bad, because just making yourself a large leader every turn is going to be really rough for a leader that wants to hit your light to deal with. So basically, we're going to get 2 Three Brothers Bonds on turn 1 here. Very, very lucky for us. And grab 2 of those 2-cost brothers, preparing for the future here. He'll grab 3 Dawn, slap it on lead, and we will immediately take, going down to 2 life, which is actually not too bad, because now that means every single ace we play is going to be rush right away. So going to look at the top 5 here, and speak of the devil, there is ace right on time. We'll drop the 2-cost ace, attaching to lead, and going 7k into leader with ace, going to be followed by a 9k from our leader. Again, for those of you that don't know, I just put the 2 costs on leader to signify that they are buffed by the effect. I'll put it in the trash at the end of the turn. And he's actually going to take the 9k, going down to 2 already. Thankfully, no character triggers. If he got a couple of Kikus there, that would have been pretty rough. So he's going to go ahead and drop the Hiyori, taking his top life, and going to put a trigger back into there. And with 3 down remaining, he could swing 8 at lead, but that is the issue with this matchup, right? That's going to be just the 2k. So looking at our hand here, I'm not sure. No, we do have 1 2k Hiyori that we are going to give him. We do want more 2ks in this situation, but it doesn't look like we actually have any. So at this point, we are probably just going to start swinging crazy lead. We'll go 7 at lead. Probably going to give a 2 and a 1, and there it is. We'll go a 2 to lead, attach, and look at the top 5 here. We get a Sabo, which we probably don't want to use the effect of. You never want to go too low in the Yamato matchup. And we're going to drop the 2-cost Sabo using effect and no Sabo effect, so just buffing lead. We'll go 9k to lead. This is going to be a rough one to counter out of, so he's going to choose to take. Playing out that Kikunojo that he played there with the Hiyori, we'll play another Three Brothers Bond. Somehow drew into a 3rd one, and surprise, surprise, we somehow drew into a 4th one. So I think that's the first game I've ever played where I've drawn 4 of those. Really good here, and we're getting all the 2-cost brothers we could ever need. But now we're finally grabbing a Sabo, so we have a little bit too many of the 2 costs at this point. We kind of need to start just utilizing them. And now with a lot of Dawn, he could just kind of go all on lead right now, bring us down to 0, but he's going to choose to do a Momonosuke, protect himself for next turn, putting the Hiyori to the top life. And at this point, if he wants to attack, he's going to have to go here. He's going to use leader effect, 2 on Okiku, and he's going to choose to put 1 more, swinging 9 at the ace. Really wants to remove that guy, which we're going to have to give him. As I said, I don't think we have any 2Ks in hand right now, so he's going to choose to just use Momonosuke effect, looking at the top 5 for a Wano type card. Pretty solid turn here. He doesn't get a threat nest with leader, but still good then nonetheless. He's going to grab a Momonosuke blocker from that search as well. The Momonosuke is one of the few cards that can grab himself. Any of the searchers that rest themselves, like Bonnie, are always going to be able to do that. So we're going to use leader effect, putting another Port Costi ace to the top and following it up with the 2 cost right off the bat here. Really, really great card. So we'll go 7k to lead. We know the Hiyori's there, so we don't have to be scared of any Nami triggers or anything like that. I probably would have swung with Sabo first if we did. So we will go 9 to lead. Most likely going to take this one. Taking the Hiyori to hand, we'll put the rest on Sabo, going 10k to lead, putting him in a position where it's, if you take this life, you're probably dead next turn. But he's going to think about countering out of this one, and he's just going to choose to block, which I think was probably the right play. Now opponent on 9 Dawn. We are 7k again. I think we've been 7k pretty much every turn, which is kind of bad for Yamato. So he will drop 2 Dawn for another Hiyori, taking that life to hand, and most likely dropping an event to save himself here. He does have the Nami in hand, which I think he just decided to put into there. And from here, he's actually going to drop another 5-cost Momonosuke, putting that Hiyori into life again. Hiyori getting him a lot of value this game. And with that remaining 2 Dawn, you're probably better off just putting it onto Okiku again and searching with Momo, which it looks like he's going to do. So he'll go ahead and swing 9k at the ace. We're going to have to give him a 2k and a 1k. And then going to put 1 on lead and swing 6 at the Sabo. So we'll give him another 1k for that one. Now finally on 10 Dawn now, we are going to probably try to pressure for game once again. We'll put 2 on lead, seeing what we get from the top. Looks like we do get another ace. That is the 3rd ace this game and the 3rd 2-cost ace we play out. Playing him on the board and swinging 7k to lead, putting the pressure on for real now. Looks like he is debating whether to counter out. He's going to give us a double 2k, which we really like to see. We'll go 1 on ace, swinging 8. He will choose to take. And we'll go 9k with lead. He looks like he does have the counter for that right now. But obviously you never really want to go to 0 cards in hand. And he is not in threat of dying. If I swing big with the Sabo, he could just block. But he is actually going to do it. Getting rid of all the cards in his hand, which now means for me, I do not need to attach any Dawn. I just need to swing 6. He gets the Nami trigger now. And he's going to choose to activate it on one of the aces here. Thankfully chooses the one that is not the alternate art, so really appreciate that one. And we unfortunately do not have anything to do with our remaining Dawn, so you could call that a bit of an inefficient turn. I could have put him in scenarios where he did not have to counter out, but then one of my characters would have died from the Nami trigger, so you know, you live and you learn. At this point in time, I am a 7k leader once again, so he could try to go for game with his blockers, but he's just going to probably test the waters off first. Oh, looks like he's going to go with our ace, so going to go for the board clear strategy. He does have a blocker, so if we can't remove it, he's going to be safe. So going to take the 10k into ace, and then he's going to drop another Momonosuke that he found, putting the Okiku to the top, which is pretty solid for him. And with 2 blockers, we actually can't go for game unless we have removal. He'll put 1 on lead and try to clear the Sabo as well. We'll just give him a quick 1k pudding, which has completely no use in this game at this point. And from here, he's debating whether he wants to attack with Momonosuke or not. Looks like he is. He's going to go 2 and swing 8 into Sabo. We are forced to give him a 1k and a 2k now with not a lot of cards in hand, so real nail-biter here. And at this point, if I know I can't go for game, I'm most likely just going for board. So we'll go 6k to lead. He just plays out the Okiku. And at this point, we'll go 5k to lead with no cards in hand. He's going to block. And thankfully, we drew into another ace. So we'll swing 7 for game. And that is going to be wraps. So fun matchup there. Always like playing against Yamato with this deck in particular. And that is going to be the video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching our weekly locals this week. We do this every Saturday, and with EB coming around the corner, it is going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of fun decks lined up that you guys get to vote for every week, such as Purple Yellow Croc. We've got Iceberg, which I've been having a lot of fun with. We've got new great decks like RP Law, Ivankov, my buddy and I have been looking forward to playing as well, which I think is pretty strong this time around. And the new leaders as well. If you're looking forward to seeing Hannibal, Odin, or even Kyros, we're going to try them out for you guys. Just check out the polls every Thursday, and we will be coming out with these local videos every Saturday, unless something goes wrong. So, with that said, you guys have a great day. We're going to be doing a giveaway very, very soon. We're finally getting our boxes in. But with that said, please like and subscribe. You guys have a good day. I'm going to head out of here. Peace.